Hello everyone, my name is John Blanford. I'm the video team lead for Blug. And in this video I'm going to talk to you about the desktop environment that we're going to be using this year, 2019, for all the FEST recording systems, and how to do some of the important tasks that you need to do to create a recording or to do a streaming. We have for the FEST two types of systems. We have recorders and we have controllers. And the recorders are the actual NUC systems that will be installed in each of the rooms. And they're the ones that are actually going to be running OBS Studio and will actually be doing either recording or streaming in each of the rooms. The controllers we'll put in the control room, and we'll use them to remotely connect up to the recorders and control the recording and streaming process. So what I'd like to show you right now is a controller and then how we connect up to one of the recorder systems using the recorder and how we do basic desktop tasks with that. Unfortunately, the controllers are not created yet. They'll actually be physically created a few days before the FEST. We create them using removable hard drives and put them into the hardware lab at BTC. So what I'm going to show you here is a example controller running inside VirtualBox. So it's all the same software, all the exact same configuration that the real controllers will have, but it's going to be virtualized in a VirtualBox virtual machine. So you have to be a little patient. It may be slow and a little bit clunky, but it's virtualized, and the real ones will have better performance. So what I'm going to do here is I have a window. This is a controller, and it's at the login prompt. And you notice that it says LFNW video user. So we're going to be using the same user for all the systems. We log in as LFNW video, which all lowercase, one word. And this one's already on the LFNW video user, so I can just give it the password. You'll actually get the password, when at the FEST. We'll give it to you personally. But I'm going to go ahead and type in the password, and we'll start up the system. So notice we get a bigger window here. VirtualBox is resizing it to something that's a little bit easier to see once we log in. So the version of Linux that we're using is called Xubuntu. And Ubuntu is a really well-known, popular version of Linux. But the X part in Xubuntu stands for the XFCE desktop. So what I was looking for when I was putting these systems together is a very lightweight, efficient desktop. One that uses as little resources as possible, particularly resources over the network, because we're going to be doing a lot of remote desktop connections, and I wanted something that was really efficient over the network. So what I came up with was this XFCE version of Ubuntu called Xubuntu that uses a very simple, no bells and whistles desktop. It does everything we need it to do. It just doesn't have a lot of extra stuff. And that's actually good for us because we need the performance over the network more than we need lots of features that we're not going to use for our very limited purpose. So what you're seeing is a basic desktop. I got some icons over here. And probably the first thing you're going to want to know is, okay, how do I find a menu and start up programs and do useful things? So we start, it's actually kind of hard to see, but up in the top left-hand corner, there's a little icon here. And if you left click on that, that's the sort of start menu here. And once you get it up, you can see that it's very similar to things you've probably worked with in the past. Nothing really unusual here. This first page is a set of favorites that they've pre-configured. And then they've broken down all software that's installed on the system into groups. And you can click on a particular group. So for example, we can click on the Internet group, and notice we've got a few programs here. We've got FileZilla, which is a FTP program, and we've got the Firefox web browser. It comes pre-installed. Or we can go back to our favorites, right? So pretty simple, not unusual for things you've seen in the past. If I go to Internet, we can start up one of these things. We can start up Firefox, and you'll notice here that it is definitely slow in the VirtualBox environment here, but there's our Firefox. And if I wanted to go to the shortcut version of our FEST website, you see that it's a fully working version of Firefox. All right, you can scroll up and down, so nothing unusual here. Some different menu items, or excuse me, window control items up here. This one here will put the window up to this little bar at the top, and so it's minimized up here. If we click on it, we get it back. So that puts it up, that brings it back. This guy, let's see if this is actually working. This window doesn't have it. This one does windowed versus full screen, so that's the full screen version of it, and that is the windowed version. And you can move the window around by just grabbing on it and stuff like that. Nothing here that you haven't seen before, so I won't spend a lot of time on it. But we can go ahead and use a little X here and kill the window. Right? So you can go in here. You can also, in that top empty bar, search for things. So if I went for Fire, I put in there Firefox. There's the Firefox web browser, and we just select it, and up it slowly comes. So another important tool will be a file manager to working with files. Now, if you're a command line person, there is a terminal emulator. You can go in there and do your stuff with the command line. That's how I like to do stuff. But for those of you who rather use it in a graphical sense, these both are file manager applications. They just start up in a different place. This starts at the root of the file system. This starts in the home user, or the home of the user that's logged in. So I'm going to double click on that and open up our very simple file manager. Everything we're going to be doing is going to be in this directory or somewhere below it. It's home LFNW video. So it's the home directory for the LFNW video user, right? And again, simple stuff. Here's a directory called LFNW. If I double click, it takes me in there. Here's another directory, raw videos. I click in there and I'm down in there, and then I can use a little up arrow to go up, and I'm back to where I started, right? And this places has various, like there's a video folder on all the recorders. All the videos will spool first into the video folder, so you can find them there, and you can bring it back. Okay? So pretty simple. I won't spend a lot of time on this. You can play with it if you want to figure out some of the stuff. You can change how it looks. Here's a detailed list versus icon list and so on. But anyway, it's a very standard system. Doesn't do a lot, but it does what we need to do. Okay? So this is our controller, and mostly what we use the controller for is to remotely connect to recorders and to manage files, right? So we've seen this. This is our little file manager. How do we connect up to the recorder systems? Well, we're going to use a remote desktop connection. So if I come down to the internet section here, there's a program here called Remnia. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but whatever that's called. And so that's our client that we're going to use to connect to the recording system. So I'll run that. And it brings up a little window here. I've pre-set up 2 NUC systems. So I have 2 real NUC systems running here in my office, and we'll connect up remotely to them. For each controller that we use, we'll have 4 systems that each controller will be responsible for, so we'll have at least 4 entries in here, but I've just put 2 of the 2 that I've got there. And I've got NUC number 2 and NUC number 3 running. So if I want to connect up to NUC number 2, I highlight it and I right mouse click and I go to connect, and it brings up a little window here. And notice it's already got the name that's pre-configured, so username LFNW video, all one word. And the password I will type in. And now we've got a remote desktop window into this recorder, the Nook 2 recorder. Notice that the Nook 2 is also running that same XFCE desktop. So both the controllers and the recorders are running the same software. They have different applications installed. OBS Studio is installed on the recorders and so on. But the desktop is the same in both cases. So I've got my remote system here, and if I want to run OBS, I can go up here, and it's actually going to be in the multimedia section. There it is, OBS Studio. That's the program we'll be using, and we run it. And if I look here, we've already got some pre-configured sources ready to go. And I'll talk more about how to actually use OBS on a video about doing recordings and a video about doing streaming. But anyway, we can run OBS, and there it is. One little difference here, notice that I got a new icon on the title bar. For some reason the Firefox didn't have it. I was looking for it, but it wasn't there. But this one's like a little up arrow, and you can actually roll things up into just the title bar and then roll them down. Roll up, roll down. I don't know if you find that to be useful or not, but it's there, and that's what that little guy is here. So we have OBS running, and if we want to kill it, just go like that, and OBS is gone. Okay? So we're connected to this remote system, and we're able to run OBS. Let me start it back up here. One of the ones I use a lot is recently used, and that just has, there's our OBS Studio because I've just used it. I'll bring it back up. So we've got Nook 2. Let's go ahead and connect up to a different Nook. So here's entry and remedy for Nook 3, and I connect up here, and it's going to ask for the password again. Okay. And now we have Nook 3. So notice I made sure that the two machines had different backgrounds so that it's clear. This is Nook 3. This is Nook 2 that's running OBS, right? And I can run up here and go, recently used OBS Studio, and there's OBS running on Nook 3. Right, so here's Nook 3, here's Nook 2. Right, so we're connected to two different recording systems, and we can run and control OBS on these two systems using these two windows. Now right away you probably notice an issue is that we don't have enough screen real estate. It's kind of hard to see what's going on when I got two windows. And if we had four windows, it was going to be even worse. So what we're going to try and do at the Fest is find wherever we can at BTC, scrounge or borrow the biggest monitors we can find and try and get enough screen real estate so that we can move these things out so we can see all four windows at the same time and be able to visually see what's going on in each room all at once. So I can't show you that on the VirtualBox version here, but you just have to sort of imagine what it would be if we had a much bigger monitor and could move these things around in a better way. Okay? So for Nook 3, just for right now, I am going to go ahead and close OBS on Nook 3. To disconnect from the remote desktop connection, this strange little icon here, I don't know why they chose that. That's the one that means disconnect. And if we click that, it's now disconnected from Nook 3, and I've just got Nook 2 running here. Okay. So one last thing I'd like to show you. Here, let's go ahead and close that. So we've seen that we can remotely connect via remote desktop to one of the recording systems. We can run OBS and do all the OBS related stuff remotely. And then the other thing that's going to be important for us to do is once we create a recording that gets saved locally, say on Nook 2 here, we need to move it over to the controller so we can work with it, right? That's one of our tasks, is to get the videos off the recording systems and over to the controller systems. And then we're going to upload them to YouTube and do various things with them, right? So how do we do that? Well, if I open up the file manager here, and this is the file manager running on NUC 2, so this is on the remote system. And by default, all the copies of OBS will save their things in the video directory. Oh, actually, here's some example videos. Great. So we'll use one of these. So here's some videos that I've been testing various things with. And I will move these. What I want to do is move these over to the controller. So how do I do that? Well, if I go here, I say New Tab, and notice we've got two tabs here that go both in the same place. It's a little hard to tell, but there's two of them. And what we can do is actually take one of the tabs and send it over to the controller, right? So for everything we do in the system, we don't allow any unencrypted or unsecure connections to the system. So for transferring files, we're going to be using secure FTP protocol, usually known as SFTP. So the file manager supports that directly. So all I have to do is say SFTP up in the title bar up there, colon, / / and then the name of the controller. So the controllers, their actual network names all start with LFNW dash controller, controller 1 / home LFNW video. And you can see I've already done it once, so it already is suggesting, right? So that is the path of the LFNW video home directory on the controller 1. I hit enter, and okay, well, it should ask me for the password. Before I started this video, I tested it, and it's obviously remembering the password from the last time. But what you should see, it'll pull up a little thing that says type in the password for the LFNW video user, and it will do that, and it will connect. So now I have two windows, two tabs. This one is the video folder on my local NUC 2. This is the home directory over at the controller. So on the controller, there's a directory called LFNW, and then one called raw videos. So that's where we want to spool up our videos after we've created them on the controller, on the recorders. So let's take this guy here. These are pretty big. Here's one that's a little smaller. And I'll say copy. So I right mouse clicked on it, copy, go over to raw videos, and paste. And pretty quickly, it's only a 15 meg file. It was able to copy it over there, right? So that's how we take the videos from the remote system, move them over to the controller. Now if I go, let's make this window small, and I go to now I'm back on the controller here, and I go to File Manager, LFNW, Raw Videos. You see there is the video that we just copied over from the remote NUC system. Okay. So that's mainly what I wanted to show you. Sort of the basics of how you get into the system, how do you run a program via the nice little menu up here, how do we use Remnia, which is our remote desktop client software that we're going to use to connect up to each of the recorders, and finally, how do we use SFTP to transfer files back and forth between the controller and the recording systems. So, thanks for watching. I hope that was helpful. And I will be making some more videos on the nuts and bolts of actually how you do recording and how you do a live stream. Thanks for watching.